Of all the things linked to dementia risk, there is one that stands out, not because it's the biggest, but because it's the most fixable. The Lancet Commission estimates it accounts for around 8% of dementia cases worldwide. That makes it the single largest modifiable risk factor on their entire list. And the treatment is not a drug. It's not surgery. It's not a lifestyle overhaul that takes you 2 years and a personality transplant. It's a hearing aid. Now, fewer than 1 in 5 Americans who could benefit from hearing treatment actually use it, which means millions of people are carrying the most treatable risk factor there is and doing nothing about it, often for years, often because of vanity or cost, or simply because nobody ever told them it mattered for anything beyond hearing. Today, I'm going to tell you exactly what the evidence shows about hearing and your brain, including the biggest trial ever done on this theme, which produced a result that surprised everybody and which the headlines got badly wrong in both directions. Stay with me to the third section. That's where the honest answer lives. I'm Susan. I'm a nurse practitioner and a PhD researcher. Last week, we looked at the 45% figure E, the estimate that nearly half of dementia risk is linked to factors we can influence. I promised we'd go deep on the one that surprises people most. This is it. And tell me in the comments, have you had your hearing tested in the last 5 years? I'm genuinely curious how many of you have. I read them. Let's start with the obvious question. Why on earth would your ears have anything to do with your memory? It seems like a strange connection. Ears are ears. The brain is the brain. But there are 3 explanations researchers take seriously, and once you hear them, the link stops feeling strange at all. The first is cognitive load. When sound comes in muffled or incomplete, your brain doesn't just accept a blurry signal, it works to reconstruct it. It fills in the missing pieces of every sentence all day long. That's mental effort, borrowed from somewhere else. Think of a computer running a demanding program in the background. Everything else slows down. Now imagine that program running for 15 years. The second is social withdrawal, and this is the one I see most in clinic. It starts small. You stop going to the noisy restaurant because you can't follow the conversation. You skip the family gathering because it's exhausting to keep asking people to repeat themselves. You go quiet in groups because it's easier than mishearing. Nobody decides to become isolated. It happens one declined invitation at a time. And social isolation is itself on the Lancet Commission's list of dementia risk factors. So hearing loss doesn't just act directly, it drags a second risk factor along behind it. The third is what happens to an understimulated brain. The regions that process sound get less input over years. There's evidence of structural changes in the brain that follow. 3 pathways. And here's what makes this different from most risk factors. Hearing loss is enormously common. Nearly 2/3 of adults over 70 have it. 2/3. If you're over 70 and thinking, this doesn't apply to me, statistically, it may well. So how strong is the evidence? Let's be specific, because linked to can mean anything from a whisper to a shout. In population studies, the association is not subtle. Hearing impairment in older adults has been linked to a 94% increased risk of developing dementia. That is essentially a doubling. Now, you know what I'm about to say because I say it in every video. Association is not causation. Observational studies like these follow large groups of people over time. They can't prove that the hearing loss caused the dementia. It's possible that early, invisible brain changes affect hearing and memory, and we're seeing a shared cause rather than a chain reaction. That's not me being a pedant. It's the exact question that mattered. Because if hearing loss merely predicts dementia, treating it changes nothing. But if hearing loss contributes to it, then a hearing aid isn't just a hearing aid. For years, nobody knew. You can't answer that question with observation. You need a trial. So they ran one. This is the section I asked you to stay for. The trial is called ACHIEVE. Nearly 1,000 adults, aged 70 to 84, all with untreated mild to moderate hearing loss, none with dementia. Half were randomly assigned to receive proper hearing treatment, hearing aids, and rehabilitation. The other half got a health education program instead. Then they followed everyone for 3 years and measured cognitive decline. This is the largest randomized trial ever done on this question. And here's what it found. Across the whole group, no significant difference. Now, if I were selling you something, that's the sentence I'd leave out. But it's the truth, and it matters. Except, and this is where it gets genuinely interesting, the trial had recruited 2 very different groups of people. Some came from an existing long-term health study, an older cohort with more risk factors and generally poorer health. Others were healthy volunteers who signed up from the community, and they were, on average, healthier, better educated, and lower risk. When researchers looked at those 2 groups separately, the picture split in half. In the higher risk group, the hearing intervention slowed cognitive decline by 48%, nearly half. In the healthy volunteers, there was no measurable effect over 3 years. And when a later analysis ranked everyone by their predicted risk of decline, the pattern got sharper still. Among those in the highest risk quarter, cognitive decline in the hearing treatment group was about 58% slower than in the control group. So, what does this actually mean? Let me give you the honest reading, which is neither of the 2 headlines you'll see. It is not hearing aids prevent dementia. The trial didn't show that. It is not hearing aids do nothing. It showed a substantial effect in exactly the people most at risk. The most reasonable interpretation is this. If your brain is already under pressure from other risk factors, removing the burden of straining to hear appears to matter a great deal. If you're otherwise healthy and low risk, 3 years may simply be too short to see anything. That is a more useful finding than either headline. And it happens to point directly at the people watching this video, because if you're here worried enough to search for this, you're probably not the low-risk, healthy volunteer. So let's get practical. 4 things, in order of how much evidence sits behind them. 1. Get your hearing tested, even if you think it's fine. This is the whole ballgame, and here's why it's not obvious. Age-related hearing loss arrives so gradually that you adapt without noticing. You don't experience it as, I can't hear. You experience it as people mumble, or restaurants are too loud now, or the TV volume creeps up. Those are the symptoms. A hearing test is quick, painless, and usually free or cheap. If you haven't had one in 5 years and you're over 60, that's your action item from this video. 2. If you're offered a hearing aid, take it chew and actually wear it. The most common outcome of a hearing test isn't that people refuse treatment. It's that they get the device and it lives in a drawer because it felt strange or loud or made them feel old. Give it the adjustment period. In the ACHIEVE trial, the benefit came from people using proper hearing treatment with rehabilitation support, not from owning a device. 3. Watch for the withdrawal in yourself or someone you love. This is the sign clinicians look for, and families are usually the first to see it. Has he stopped going to the club? Has she gone quiet at family dinners? Are the invitations being declined? That pattern is often hearing, not personality, and not getting older. It's also the pathway that drags social isolation along with it. 4. Protect what you have. Hearing damage from noise is cumulative and permanent. Power tools, loud music, machinery. It's unglamorous advice, but the hearing you keep is worth more than the hearing you treat. Notice, again, what's not on this list. No supplement, no brain game, no special diet. The most treatable dementia risk factor we know of is addressed with a hearing test and a device you actually wear. Let me bring it together. Hearing loss is the single largest modifiable dementia risk factor on the Lancet Commission's list, around 8% of cases globally. It works through at least 3 pathways: the constant cognitive effort of decoding muffled sound, the slow social withdrawal that follows, and reduced stimulation of the brain over years. In observational studies, hearing impairment is linked to roughly a doubling of dementia risk. But association is not causation, which is why the trial mattered. The ACHIEVE trial found no significant benefit across everyone. But in the higher-risk participants, hearing treatment slowed cognitive decline by around half and by nearly 60% in those at highest risk. And your action is simple. Get tested, and if you need the device, wear it. 2/3 of people over 70 have hearing loss. Fewer than 1 in 5 who could benefit use treatment. That gap is one of the easiest things to close in this entire field. It just requires someone to tell you it matters. So, it matters. Next week, we're taking on the question I get asked more than any other. Do brain games actually work? Crosswords, puzzles, the apps that promise to train your memory. There's real research on this, and the answer is more interesting and more specific than either side of the argument admits. Every study behind today's video is linked in the description below. Go and read them. I'd rather you checked me than believed me. Take good care of yourself.